Hello, how is everyone doing? It is your fallen angel back with another video. Today, we are doing another UFO video. Whidbey Island UFO report cases, classified as unknown. But before we get started, feel free to like and subscribe. And without further ado, let us just begin. After a thorough investigation of all pertinent facts, the UFO sighting by Dan McIndoe of Oak Harbor on January 21st, 1988 has been classified as a true unknown. The Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, a civilian organized of trained professionals that investigates UFO reports, has ruled out all possible conventional explanations for the object seen by Mr. McIndoe, his wife, mother-in-law, and father-in-law, and 3-year-old daughter. Dan McIndoe, age 32, an ex-Navy lieutenant with 7 years military service in the field of aviation supply, including work assignments with the Navy's prestigious Blue Angel Squadron, was rated as an exceptionally credible witness by the MUFON organization. The UFO encounter began at 10:45 p.m. on the night of January 21st at the McIndoe home, not far from the Whidbey Island Naval Air Station. Flight operations at Whidbey NAS had, by the time, been over for 15 minutes, with the last plane reported on the deck at 10:30 p.m. The UFO was first observed by Cornelia McIndoe, age 72, Dan McIndoe's mother, who sighted a bright orange-yellow stationary light in the southern sky when she went outside to smoke a cigarette. She called the entire family's attention to the object, and together they watched as the UFO shot straight up approximately 3 degrees of arc from a position 25 degrees above the horizon in the direction of the Naval Air Station. The object then abruptly stopped, made a sharp right turn in the horizontal direction, and came straight towards them. According to McIndoe's account, the object covered a distance of 1.5 miles in approximately 3 seconds. As the UFO approached the house, it seemed to slow, taking approximately 15 seconds to slowly drift directly over the heads of the 5 adult witnesses and the child. It disappeared from view as it traveled in a straight path to the NNE, passing behind some tall trees behind the McIndoe house. While the object was passing overhead, Dan McIndoe was able to observe the object through a 135mm telephoto lens, and was also able to determine that there was no sound associated with its flight. Mr. McIndoe described the shape of the underside of the object as that of a perfect circle. The lights were bluish white in the nature, and I estimate 15 lights spanned the circumference of the circle. All remained on forming a circle of running lights. The lights would pulse brighter in sequence, I believe going in a clockwise direction, Dan McIndoe reported. He went on to say, during the event, winds were calm. There were scattered clouds in the vicinity. We live in a rural area. There were no sounds. During the entire episode, none of us heard the usual prop or jet noise associated with military aircraft using the airfield. At the time the object was directly overhead, I asked my family for complete silence to listen for the engine noise. There was absolute silence. According to Dr. Donald Johnson, Washington State Director for MUFON, a combination of factors was sufficient to rule out all mundane explanations for the sighting. The fact that this is overflight occurred in restricted military airspace, together with the testimony of multiple witnesses, the complete lack of sound, the observation of the unusual lighting pattern on the object seen through magnification, and the lack of wind combined to provide sufficient information to classify this case as an unknown. In other words, there is little possibility that the object the McIndoes and others reported seeing that night was a satellite, balloon, commercial or military airplane or helicopter or astronomical body. The National Weather Service and the Whidbey NAS were called to confirm that there were no weather balloons released at that time. Additionally, several of Mr. McIndoe's Dagula Bay neighbors and others from as far away as Lake Washington, Edmonds, and Bellingham called him to report that they had also witnessed unusual lights in the sky that evening. Dr. Johnson reports that the field investigation has been evaluated by the national headquarters as complete. The sighting was assigned a strangeness rating of 4 on a 5-point scale labeled as strange, does not conform to known principles, and it also received a probability rating of 4 on a 5-point scale, credible and sound. So, one thing we want to just reiterate, guys, is this understanding, right, that the world is electromagnetic, the earth is electromagnetic, and these UFOs that we understand, these saucers, these flying saucers, do not have an engine because it's electropropulsive. It is using the electricity of the earth to propel itself. This type of state-of-the-art manufacturing that Tesla has understood, that Tesla has manifested and created back in the 1900s, has now been considered UFOs or unknowns. But I just want you to take it home and think for a second. What if our form of transportation were flying saucers? What if we didn't have to deal with fuel, fossil fuels, high gas prices, just using saucers to get around? An extremely inefficient way to travel, as well as an extremely fast way to travel. Just some food for thought. But this was the Whidbey Island UFO report, classified as an unknown. Feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd love to read them. Also, like and subscribe. Feel free to check us out on Patreon, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. This has been your fallen angel, and I am out.